Hey fellow reefers, welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee, this is Reefer Explained. Today we're just going to be touching ground for anyone that's new to this hobby about tank automation, monitoring, aquarium controllers and such things like this that some people may find quite intimidating, and obviously just some insights on what I'm running on my tank. Not saying it's the best way, everyone will have their preference, but coming up to 4 years in the hobby, starting to kind of doubt and think about things where I want to be, and to ensure that I don't have any problems on the tank going forward, especially when you're going on vacation, that no one's going to be around. How do you plan for that? So there's a few things that I've done that has worked and that you could try as well. I'm not saying again it's the right way, but this is what I've done for kind of on a budget, let's just say. So there's a few things right off the bat. How am I controlling lights? Obviously you shouldn't be touching your lights anyway once they're set, due to the fact that obviously it can stress the corals out, and they say not to set it and then leave it. But let's just say, for instance, a lot of tank controllers now, a lot of tank lights, LED lights are controllable via Wi-Fi and these kind of things, and they will be built in some sort of ecosystem. So we are running, obviously, as we've touched ground, the Redsea LED 90s that come with a tank. They are run by an app called Reeffactory, and they can be controlled anywhere through the app itself, which is great. You can turn them off if you needed to, or change those settings if you're away from the tank. You can do that remotely. So that's the Reeffactory app for Redsea. That's the lights. Next, we're going to move down to wave makers, pumps, those kind of things. Again, on this tank, we have switched over to the Redsea Reef Wave. Again, you set up a schedule. You can have different wave modes, and then just leave it alone. But let's just say that something was happening and someone, you had a camera on the tank, or someone called you and said something's happening, your pump is making a weird noise. You could control this and turn this off via the Reeffactory app. So that's pumps number 2. There are a lot of options out there for wave makers or pumps for controllability. So you could just look at them and see if they have any Wi-Fi or app scenarios where you can turn them off. So that's that side of it. Controlling heat, temperature, and fans, things like this. So the first thing is monitoring, and this could be monitoring and also controlling your heater for your tank. I am using display purposes the Thermal View by Reeffactory. They're a great a product line, that aquarium stuff. So this is really for, it has an app, and you can see what the temperature is on the app from anywhere. It will give you alerts, it will give you ping notifications, and also you can see it visually, which is a great thing. A lot of controllers for temperature are quite bulky. This is quite sleek, and I like the fact that it's always plugged in. I can see it visually what the temperature of the tank is, and you can have this to be a controller as well. I didn't, just because I'd already set up a temperature controller where my heater and my fan plug into, which I'll go through now in the next stage. Basically, you have 2 cables coming out. One is for the power and one is for the temperature probe. You can just leave it in an area where it really doesn't change, which is my back rear compartment, and it's zip tied on so that it will never come out of the tank and read false readings. So that's monitoring your temperature, controlling the temperature. We're just going to go below the tank now. I may have shown this in other videos, but just for the purpose of this topic, I'm going to go into a little bit more depth. This device here is what's controlling my temperature and cooling. So there's got heating and cooling, and behind this unit, behind here, where all my power packs are, there's a pack for where you can plug your heater and your fan, which is my fan here. So the way it works, obviously, is it will be around 78.5 on my temperature is max. Once it gets to I believe it will be 79.9, the fan will kick on, and if I go below a certain temperature, the an alarm will be triggered, and then that will give me what I need there. It has power. The probe is a prong that plugs in, so if that ever comes out, it will give you an audible alarm. And this is a well-known brand, but you can buy these from Amazon. They're very similar to Inkbird. I'm not saying that they're any better than Inkbird, but they're pretty similar priced. And this has really never let me down. And they retail in the UK on Amazon for around £32-33. So they're really good. And it just means that instead of just relying on your temperature turn on and off for the relay inside the aquarium heater, this will do this for you. So this will turn it on and off, and if this breaks, it's just a redundancy really. This will just turn on and off 1,000 times over and over, instead of turning on the relay inside the actual heater itself. Now, going on to the heater, just for redundancy wise, I will replace them every year or year and a half, just out of practice, or if anything goes wrong with them, I'll have a backup, because they're only about £30-35 for the heaters, if you get a decent one. And I've got a TMC on here, and they have failed on me once or twice, so I do have them up as a backup, just for that purpose. Let me just think about what else. Controllability. You can control doses. So if you had monitoring systems for your alkalinity, calcium, and things like that, you ideally would want a doser that is Wi-Fi compatible, or an app. So this, obviously, again, I've gone over to the Reef Dose 4, which is by Redsea. It is Wi-Fi compatible through the app Reefbeat, and I can control those dose amounts, and I can manually dose through that as well, just to give me peace of mind that that's something I really wanted. The skimmer is not controllable as such as Wi-Fi, but what it does have is a great little feature that I absolutely love, is the float switch, which is basically built into the system. This can be taken out. So what happens is when it fills up, the float is automatically triggered, and it will turn off the skimmer, so not allowing it to overflow and cause a mess in your system. And also then you know that it's time to change that out. Now, you won't get any alarms or alerts, I believe. It will just turn off the skimmer. But that's a nice feature I think a lot of skimmers should have, and it is a redundancy and kind of a monitoring system on its own merit. So personally, I think that's a great one. The next stage for me will be having a controllable Wi-Fi return pump, and I'll be looking into a return pump. If anyone's got any suggestions on this, currently I am using a Jacob 4000. Never let me down, super quiet, and a lot of people give Jacob a lot of stick on these pumps, but this pump was about £90. It's so reliable. I bought two just because they were so cheap, and just in case I need extra parts or just want to replace it out. It's amazing pump, and The controllability is really good, really simple, and yeah, it's a great pump, but I need something realistic with Wi-Fi compatible. The simple reason being is if the power ever shuts off, I want to be alerted, or I want something where it will turn off if the chamber runs out of water where this is. And I know that there is a few pumps out there that do that, some return pumps, so that would be my next thing. Power supply wise, for kind of monitoring, I don't have anything on this side that will technically alert me to anything. What I have done here to make my life simple is I've got a 8-switch power extension plug. This is apparently kind of fire resistant, as in the fact that it's rated for that. I don't know what the specs are on it. It's from Amazon. It's got a few USB ports as well, which I'm running some cameras off, which I'll go into in a sec. Why would you want them? Just again, visual. If you're away from the tank, if you're working, or if you need to be able to see something if someone calls you and they're house sitting for you. This is a a Wi-Fi, so you could plug these in technically, but I just don't want too many on here. It's a Wi-Fi plug to turn off and on, obviously. This is by Blink, I think it is, but basically they do these in Poundland in the UK. They're around $7.99, really good value, really easy to set up. I've got a couple of these around the house, and this is to control my ATO. Now, the reason I want this on here is these don't have individual switches, unfortunately, only 2 switches at the bottom to turn off the whole strip. And when I'm doing any maintenance, taking out floss, I want to be able to turn off my ATO. The simple reason being is once I start taking out the floss from here, my ATO kicks on as it thinks there's no water, and obviously then I just get disbursement of extra water. So things like for maintenance or water changes, I always turn this off from my phone, and that's a quite good redundancy on its own there. Going on to keeping an eye on visually when you're away, you can add cameras to your tank. So I will show you what I've added to my tank and what brand they are and what they look like. But I picked these up recently. So this is called Laxahub. So basically they're like for pet and baby monitoring. You can add a SIM card for these, or you can add cloud-based if you need to record anything. But this is visually through an app that I can connect to. They're really easy to set up and they work really well. They're at 1080p, or you can run them down to 720p for visual. And they have a few other features in there. You can even talk two-way scenario. So if someone's looking after your tank, you can patch in on the camera, and then you can talk to them through there if you didn't have any. Your phone was playing up or something like that. But I've got one up here that I've just put on. Now I've kind of, they come with a 3M circle disc that you can set up. But the reason I've got this one on here is this one will keep an eye on my skimmer just to make sure everything's working. And they do work in the dark, so even when there's no light on here because no one's opened the door, I can see visually my skimmer and my blue ATO top off. And this is important because even in the dark I can still see this lit, and I can see that the water level is exactly where it needs to be, just in case that something was out of line or there was too much water being added. I could just turn off the ATO or call somebody if needed be. So that's the camera number one. Camera number two, if I just come out of the sump for a second and just show you. Around to the side is my ATO bin. Yep, it's nothing amazing, but I've been using it for 4 years, and to be honest with you, it's worked really well. I'm thinking about upgrading to some acrylic box or something like that, but they are really expensive, and at the moment it's just not really on my to-do list. So I've marked these with kind of fluorescent markings, minimum, maximum, and midway. This is simple because when the camera is on this container when I'm away, I can see how much water is actually left. and that gives me peace of mind that if I need someone to top it up, I can just leave an extra jug around on top and just ask them to top it up. Now, ideally, in an ideal world, you could have a bigger jug than this, only 25 litres of water, but this realistically will last me around 10 days, and that's enough for any trip. Plus, if I have like a 50 litre here, what happens if that was to empty into the tank by mistake? It would definitely go way over. So having a smaller ATO sometimes container is not a bad thing. Now, redundancies on the ATO, just using an aqua ATO size for this tank, it's never let me down in the sense of anything gone wrong. I've got the main tubing going up to the tank. It's kind of clipped upwards, and I'll just show you back round into the sun what I've done. And I've learnt this, I have talked about this before, but I learnt this from Bog Reef Supply. So on the main pipe here, there's a piece of flexi tube, and it goes all the way down to where the ATO light is just above, and this is zip tied on. Then the main ATO line goes through the tube, is zip tied into place, and it stops around here. So this means that it will never back siphon into the system, and it will never come loose from being just kind of tied on like basic, or just a little probe holder, and you know, that could come off, or it could break. So it will never back siphon, because the water level will never come up to this line, even with the power. If the power goes off, it never comes this high, this high, so to speak. It's a bit lower. It's about here somewhere. So this is a good practice, guys, if you really want to keep this out of trouble. Is bring your ATO line in up high and make sure it's zip tied somewhere, and that it will never come near into the aquarium itself. The same with your dosing lines. That's why my dosing lines are up here and not here, which I would have liked to have had them here, to dose kind of this way into the stream near the ATO and stuff like that. But I think being up here is much better, because when the power kicks off, it will never back siphon and then make a massive mess into my containers here for my dosing. So that's another thing. Aquarium controllers, I may look at getting an Apex. I'm in the UK, but it's something that's really scared me. The fact is that if the main module here fails, or you do something silly and you set it up where all your pumps and everything's plugged into, then obviously your whole system can go down. Now, it's unlikely that its power supply will ever have a problem with it, but if it does, it might be on one of these. I'm not saying that can't be the case with the Apex, but it's just something that's always kind of troubled me. And plus, a lot of the videos out there describe what the Apex is and what it does, but for us in the UK, because obviously with three prong, I know that they do work, but it's just something that you never really see much now. It is coming more into the UK than it has done, and I will be looking at the new Apex line, just because I want it to be able to give me push notifications if the system is running low in water, has level sensors and leak detection sensors. So that's something I may look into. But the cost of that, the ones where you get all the probes and everything else, is relatively close to the price I paid for this tank. Now, I know a lot of people out there will say, well, it's insuring your home, it's insuring your livestock. That's all true, but it is a hefty amount to pay for an aquarium controller. Now, there are some others out there like GHL and Hydros. So you have got a few scenarios where you can change and look at these. You got Senai. They monitor the system for ammonia, and you can use a par meter for them and things like that. So there's a few different things there that you can get hold of. But in a simple world, if you want to try and save some money, and obviously you don't have the budget to start with, you can get the it's like monitoring and controlling parts, with some Wi-Fi plugs, with some cameras for peace of mind, a simple Inkbird or one of these controllers for your heater at least, and your fan, and maybe a skimmer with an ATO Guardian, which is just basically from DMD, which is just a magnet and a sensor that will shut off your skimmer when it's full, or if it overflows because the water level got too high. So there's a few things out there, guys, that you can get, and you don't have to spend a fortune if you don't have it in the budget to start with. But these are some of the things that I've been kind of contemplating, what's best to do. If anyone's got any suggestions or they think I'm wrong on this topic, then by all means hit me up, send me a comment, like, describe, you know, tell me that I'm completely wrong on this. But this is what I've done for now. And yep, it's worked for me at this point. But now that I'm going into the future with more ideas on this tank, I think I will be possibly upgrading to an Apex as they brought the new line out. Or I might pick up the older Apex at a discount. Let's just see, and I'll keep you updated. Might have some space on this board for the Apex. I would just need to just reconfigure this a little bit better. But let me know what you think. Have I done okay so far with the kind of controller systems in place? Does it look okay? And I'll speak to you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.